the end day. It's the end of the week, end of everything. But then you get the 8th. If 7 is the number of the finish, finite, 8 is the number of the infinite. Interesting coincidence, or whatever. If you take the number 8, put it on its side, what does it become? The symbol of infinity. It's the only holy day given by God that is named by the number 8, the very last day after the last day, but it's it. There's nothing else after that. Now let's look at the prophetic realm. Messiah fulfilled all things on a holy day of Israel. You can just look at Leviticus, you can see the whole thing. You have Leviticus 23, you can see the plan of salvation. Everything he did, although the greatest things or the biggest events of the age are all on God's appointed holy days that he gave in Leviticus. And so everything happens. The holy days come in 2 parts, spring and autumn. So Messiah comes in 2 comings. And so which holy days would be linked up with the first coming? The spring holy days, because that's the beginning. So what did he fulfill? It all begins, what's the first holy day? Passover. What's the first great gigantic event? Passover. He dies on the cross as the Passover lamb. What's the next great day? It's the day of the first fruits, where new life comes up from the earth. They lift it up to God. New life. That is the day of the resurrection. He rose on that day as the new life. What's the third great event of the Hebrew calendar? It's the day called Shavuot, in Greek, Pentecost. What's the great event of the age with the church? God puts his Spirit, sends his Spirit on the day of Shavuot, Pentecost. Everything takes place that way. But then you've got the gap in the Hebrew year, long gap, and then you've got the closing feast in the autumn. So those are the more mysterious ones that we just celebrated because the church doesn't really know as much. Most Christians don't know as much about Feast of Trumpets, Yom Kippur, and Tabernacles not because they're any less to do with your faith in Messiah, but because they haven't been fulfilled yet. So they're more mysterious. The Bible, you don't have them much in the gospel because they're not about the beginning, they're about the end. So what happened? You got trumpets, Feast of Trumpets, then Yom Kippur, day of when sin is judged or forgiven, man and God stand face to face. Then you've got the greatest feast, Feast of Tabernacles. They all come in the end. So what happens then? So if you want to see the mystery of those days, you don't look at the beginning of the New Testament, you look at the end of the New Testament, the end of the Bible, because these are about the end of the Hebrew sacred year. And what do you find when you open up the end of the Bible, or end time prophecy, or the book of Revelation, the end book? What do you see? Trumpets. Why? Because that's at the end. Trumpets. What trumpet? The trumpets of the angels, the trumpet of the archangel, the last trump, the trumpets of the Lord, the trumpets of his coming, the trumpets of going up, the trumpets of the dead risen, the trumpets, Feast of Trumpets. It opens up the end just like it opens up the end of the Hebrew year. Then what do you have? What does it all lead to? What do the trumpets lead to? The trumpets in the Hebrew year lead to the day of standing before God, the awesome day linked to the day of judgment. So what happens? It all leads in prophecy to the day of the Lord, the day when we will stand before God, the day when man and God stand, the day of his coming, the day of the judgment, the day of salvation for those who are saved. And what comes after that in the Hebrew year? Then that leads to the greatest celebration, Tabernacles. What is Tabernacles the theme of? Celebrating God, celebrating the end of the journey, celebrating the kingdom of God on earth, celebrating God's faithfulness and the age of the kingdom of Messiah. Actually, even the rabbis say that. So what happens at the end of the Bible? What do you have? You have the kingdom of God on earth. You've got tabernacles. You've got the millennium. You've got the age when the lion lays down with the calf and peace covers the earth and the knowledge of God covers the earth. That's tabernacles. In fact, that's the age where the Bible specifically says that all nations will be